Hi there, Libra. Welcome to your June 2018 General Tarot reading. It's Raina here. So I've already laid out the cards because I was interrupted the last time I attempted this. So I'll just begin. As I often say, this is a general reading, not only with the focus being general, but with it being for everyone of your sign. If it doesn't resonate, you don't have to tell me. I am not surprised that it wouldn't. If you would like a personal reading, I'm using your natal chart in most of them, and that's going to be more tailored to you specifically. But I like when people say, no, this doesn't resonate at all with me. It's like, okay, that's fine. You didn't have to take the trouble to tell me that. But, you know, I guess some people just wanted to share that. I'm going to begin. I do want to say also that when I attempted this reading before, I noted that it does seem like it's more of a personal relationship type reading. I do have a love reading already up for your sign, Libra, so you can check that out and see if it compares with this. But there are certain cards that make me go in that direction. Even though I try to keep it as general as possible, it just is what it is. The focus of the reading is the Ace of Swords. Now, you are a Swords, being an air sign, as are Gemini and Aquarius. So if either of those signs are featured in your life, you may be thinking about that person. But the card itself relates to having the clarity of thought to start a new phase in your life. So you could say that the Ace of Swords is like cutting through the crap with the sword. And one of the things about Libra is indecision plaguing you. I think that a lot of Librans would agree. But you know, all people can have indecision from time to time. It's not that Libra is the only one. It's just that they are infamous for it. And I read somewhere that a lack of, a tendency towards indecisiveness is due to being like not trusting your instincts, not trusting your judgment. And this can happen for a bunch of reasons that I'm not going to get into, but I just thought that you might find that interesting. And yet, this may be a time when you are like very sure about things. I love that, because sometimes when I feel like on the fence about something and then something happens that gives me that clarity, it's like, you know, okay, this is the direction I should go in. Sometimes it seems tempting in both directions, and I love when it becomes clear to me. The foundation of this reading is the Seven of Swords. This is a card of somebody who may be cheating. Again, with the swords, it could be a fellow air sign. But regardless of what sign they are going behind your back. In a workplace situation, this can be somebody stealing your ideas, somebody maybe pretending to be your friend, your coworker, your best bud, and then they are talking badly about you to the boss. Although that might be more of the Five of Swords, where there's more of a slander associated to it. This is actually more about sneaking around and about stealing. So even physical theft. And so that could be anybody. If you have a family member, hopefully not a child, but hopefully not anyone, but anyone, if you have things that are missing and you've been in denial, maybe there were other signs that this person was messed up, and then you put two and two together and now you know what to do. The card that is the challenge, or kind of the chaos card, I would call it too, is the Ten of Cups. So this is about disrupted family harmony. And in some cases, you might have wanted to marry somebody, or maybe you are married to this person, and you know, you have discovered that they're cheating on you and you want nothing to do with them. If you were planning on getting married, you're not going to get married. If you are married, you want to get divorced. And that is kind of like, maybe you were on the fence before, maybe there were other problems, but now you're sure. If somebody in your family is stealing, and usually if they're stealing, it's going to be because of an addiction, then that is also creating problems within the family, and that is unfortunate. The spiritual message is a Nine of Swords. So this is a card of anxiety, and especially this card, this particular Morgan Greer deck doesn't really illustrate it to the nth degree that the Pamela Coleman Smith from the Rider-Waite deck does, where they have the woman sitting up, or whoever it is, a man or a woman, and having their face in their hands in bed at night, because that's kind of like the nightmare card, the Nine of Swords. Again, with the swords. Swords deal with conflict, okay? That's one of the key words, is conflict. So there may be something going on, and I think as a spiritual message, Libra, if some of these cards resonate with what's going on with you, the idea of anxiety as a spiritual message is, don't overlook it. Don't think that you can manage it, because it can affect you in a multi-dimensional way, okay? It can affect you physically, it can affect you psychologically, spiritually, all of the above. And don't just ignore it or minimize it. Even if you are aware, as the Ace of Swords suggests, really let it sink in. Because the Ace of Swords is about starting a new life based upon things that you have become aware of. And also, this is a card of victory. Now, sometimes there are circumstances that are very trying that lead up to that victory. And this may be one of them. So as the focus card, I think that you are going to be just fine. You're going to land on your feet. But the Nine of Swords is asking you to really pay attention to anxiety, because it can get worse. You know, panic attacks happen when people ignore malaise. You know, that kind of a lesser version of it. Panic attacks are acute. And I'm not saying that the Nine of Swords is always going to be panic attacks, but they're very intense. I mean, you can feel like you're dying when you're having one. It's not something that I would wish on my worst enemy. And so just spiritually, like taking care of yourself, because you're an air sign, you may be keeping your feelings at arm's length. And the Nightmare card is really, especially at night when we tend to be less active, that's when all of the thoughts can flood in that you've been keeping at bay. And so this is why you have to kind of tackle that. The advice is represented by the Emperor, and even the Emperor's holding a sword in one hand. I think the sword might relate to truth. I'm not entirely sure about that. But the Emperor is number 4, so it's no surprise that it deals with order in your life, like restoring order in your life. You may feel chaotic right now, Libra, in June, and feel like your mind is running 1,000 miles a minute. And whatever you can do to quell your mind, be it especially spiritually. Yeah, and I think maybe that Nine of Swords in the spiritual position is talking about you got to get this under control, meditation. And making sure that you are being as peaceful as you can and honoring yourself in that way. Taking extra time for self-care. The Emperor can relate to a judge or some kind of an official that maybe you need to consult in order to deal with any kind of problems. Like if this is at work, it could be like a mediator. If this is a marriage, it would be a judge. It would be like the legal system. And, but this could absolutely be a facet of you that is learning, you know, must take control over your life, and so that you can begin anew. Because you're going to have your own solar return in the fall, in October, and leading up to this, you're kind of winding things down for the year. And you have a lot to look forward to, Libra. You have a lot of wonderful things. I mean, you have, it's really kind of interesting because you have Jupiter in the second house of earned income, so that can be very good for your money. You have a solar eclipse in August in your 11th house of hopes and wishes, so that's wonderful. You have good things, you know, the luckiest house is the 11th house. So it's like in the summer you have some nice energy, but the thing is, and even like you're going to have a solar eclipse in July in your 10th house of career. So it's not like your life is, you know, shot to hell. It's just that, as is usually the case, it seems like there's always one area that we have a bit of struggle with. And for you, this may be your personal life, but you can do this. You really can. This is probably something that you should have been dealing with for a long time, and you were in denial over it. And there's something else I wanted to say. Oh, I wanted to say that the Emperor is connected to your opposite sign, Aries. So if that means anything to you, could be a person who is a police officer or a military person. So this, like for instance, if somebody is stealing from you, you may need to get law enforcement involved, depending on who it is, you know. But yeah, so there's that. And then we have what's coming in is represented by the King of Pentacles. This can be I mean, this may have nothing to do with any kind of romantic situation. It could just simply be that you're going to be doing very well financially in June, be on top of your money game. If this is another person, it could be a mature earth sign or a very earthy person who happens to be mature. Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Capricorns a lot of times are featured for Libra. And your father could be like a rock for you, like somebody that you can really depend on at this time, if that's apropos to your situation. And and I think too, if you're like leaving in a marriage, you have the money to do so. The outcome is the Five of Pentacles. And I stated when I laid out the cards the first time I attempted to do this reading that the Five of Pentacles, when I end the reading that way, I always pick another card. So I'll talk about the other card in a minute. The Five of Pentacles is about lack consciousness. That's why I don't like to resolve a reading that way, because not only because it's negative, but because it's not really the kind of card that seems to be like a resolution card. But the Five of Pentacles is about where you see life coming up short for you and how that makes you feel. If you feel anxious because certain things are not happening for you the way that you want them to happen, you may be very full of anxiety about it, and yet that's something that you have to change within yourself. So basically what I'm saying, Libra, is I think that the Five of Pentacles is almost like a cautionary card, that if you don't take action yourself, that you're going to just keep perpetuating this cycle that may be at its root caused by lack consciousness, that you are not being selective enough in the people that you choose as partners. Maybe you don't even choose people as partners. Maybe you just fall into relationships based on a sense of neediness, not on a sense of really feeling a strong sense that the two of you are compatible or that this person is honorable. And the Five of Pentacles in a work situation can be a sense of like, I never have enough money, I'm afraid. Very weird that the outcome is following the King of Pentacles. I think that it could be a lack of self-esteem that is at the root of this, because the King of Pentacles could be like you really bringing in a lot of money, and yet you don't feel deserving of it. And I think that some people who are misers are people who really don't feel that they deserve to enjoy the money that they've earned, that they're not worthy of it. Being economical is fine. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the extreme. I don't see a lot of Libra people being like this because, if anything, I'm sure a lot of you tend to be spendthrifts because you like nice things. But for the outliers out there, it could be like even feeling deserving of the money that you receive. And so I picked a clarification card here, and I have the Queen of Cups, which is a very psychic card. Also, I would say this is a passive card, and Libra is a cardinal sign, so you tend to like to take action. And I think that what I would say is the outcome is really sitting with your attitudes, be it the Nine of Swords and be it the Five of Pentacles, and seeing how your attitude towards life informs your decisions, including how you perceive your success. Forget about failures, but how you perceive when good things happen to you. And, you know, this card, the Seven of Swords, if you find out somebody's cheating on you, it may actually be easier for you to cope with that and to spring into action than it is to have a healthy relationship with somebody who you can trust and who will tell you they love you all the time. You know, for some Librans, there may be some kind of emotional issue that is keeping you kind of like prisoner of your own low self-esteem. And when you release that, and again, I think that with the Queen of Cups, we're talking about developing yourself spiritually and psychically. And that, you know, that honed intuition can help you to make better choices, and also more easy choices where you don't have to like agonize over it for a long time about who to trust, who not to trust, and also what you deserve, you know, whether it be in the workplace or in your private life. So I see this as a very kind of like thoughtful reading where you are seeking to begin anew, and you do have maybe some shadow work that you need to do to get to that place where you can fully move forward. But I have faith in you, Libra. So I hope that you enjoyed this, and if you'd like a private reading, please click on the link below. Take care. Bye.